Greetings everyone, I am of course Arcturus Alone. You might be wondering, why am I doing this? Well, mainly I was thinking one day, I have to spend up to an hour with a whole bunch of simpletons who completely take up all of my time and air when, well, you could be getting to know the only important member of anyone, the most important person, period, in the world. Me, Arcturus Alone. And I thought, it is long past time I took some extra time to make that clear to everyone. I'd ask how you're all doing, but I don't really care. Let's see, this is going to start off as an Ask Me Anything sort of thing. Please feel free to share your insipid opinions, ask questions, and so on, while we're waiting for the other show to start. Show named Babbling. Oh, also, I really was wanting to relish the fact that you can't kill me here. None of you can. Not that I have to worry about it very often. So, who has a question for me? I'm sure someone does. Oh yes, indeed. Obviously, this is all I do, you utter buffoon. That's right. I'm sure that is all I do. You're right. And no, I do not smell like elves. I know I don't smell like elves. I make a good point of not smelling like elves. I use an entirely different aftershave that smells nothing like elves, but still remains relatively masculine and pleasant. Right, where was I? Oh yes, we have a question from the audience. Abe, real person, why are you so great? Well, I'm so glad you asked that, Abe. The reason I'm so great is because I'm simply the best thing the gods ever created. Not that they seem to appreciate it much. I can only assume it was by sheer accident. You know, like monkeys at typewriters, as you put it, only on a divine scale. But I'll make them aware of it in time. As you all know, I came from humble origins, have been born to a family of only a modest fortune, then, you know, established myself through the arts and various engineering accomplishments, the establishment of the advanced shitting system, for example, which has been an absolute boon to the noses of countless people, countless nobles, and I suppose some peasants as well, though as much as they reek, I simply don't think that it really made a huge difference there. I then moved on to political intrigue, where I clawed my way through the ranks and eventually wound up as the power behind the throne, having established the ascension of Queen Di, my dear Queen Di. Queen Diana is a full name. No one really calls that except to her face. She's Queen Di, mostly because it's very easy for her to make you die. And she will. If I didn't have some sort of false immortality, I'd probably be SOL myself. But that's neither here nor there. In any case, due to my overwhelming intellect, that's how I was able to ascend, and that is why I'm so very great. Look, yes, elves do have a scent. They're typically Poor Di. Oh, that's cute. You clearly don't know her. I'm very fond of her, granted, but, you know, she is my claim to the effective full military power of a kingdom, so I'm a bit biased, granted. Considering that her typical hobby involves yeeting puppies off of castle parapets, I'm thinking you might reconsider your affections in the long run, but that's just fine. It's just as well you're not going to meet her. If you do, though, very important caveat, at no point should you respond to her attempts to seduce. She is basically a Black Widow, and she won't bother to marry you or anything. No one who sleeps with Queen Di lives past the next day. I don't know why she does this. It's just one facet of the fact that she's absolutely batshit insane. God bless her. But I have to take some time now and again to make myself scarce whenever she starts getting winky. Any other questions? No? Oh, another comment from Abe. Abe, real person. Thank you for your questions. You help keep this along. You're clearly a gentleman and scholar among peasants. Although, surely peasant as well. You're all peasants, really. It's just a basic... Oh yes, Queen... I'll get to your question in a moment, Abe, real person. So she likes me. Yes, Queen Di is well known as being extremely fond of her Arcturus, the Black Compass. I am her go-to advisor, her right-hand man, and her left-hand man. Probably the only man she spends any time with not butchering or porking and then butchering. Quite frankly, she knows that I'm why her preceding family, the previous heir to the throne, had a terrible exploding bovine-related accident, and as she hated them profoundly, it's a huge endearing thing. Though, if I ever did sleep with her, she would absolutely ensure I stayed dead afterwards. Lots of butchering. In fact, she doesn't really know about the whole Faustian immortality bargain pact, and if she did that, that would be bad for me. But that's not going to happen. Another question, Abe Sapien, I'll get to your Abe real person. Your question is, what was the most embarrassing combat encounter? No comment. So, Abe real person was asking, what is my opinion upon the people I'm forced to work with? Loathing. In one word, loathing. I despise them utterly. You have, that one guy who reeks and has zero social skills, no sense of style. And actually, that covers most of them, really. Except the other one, which is not a guy. So far as we can prove. I mean, with enough magic, you can affect most of the appearances you want. As we learned quite recently with the faux not guy. And the queen never gets you in bed, make sure Magog is in the other. The queen is never going to get me in bed. Magog, on the other hand, strikes me as a bit of a sucker. I'm thinking he might be able to take my place. I mean, really, you wouldn't think that would be a high odds. He does look like a festering sack of zebra rectums, but she's a freak. And since she plans on killing the person next anyway, it really doesn't have a... I have an option also, Growl. You underestimate me. Everyone underestimates me. I am the finest mind this world has ever seen. So there's absolutely no way she's going to order me to bed, and she doesn't want to do that. See, I think part of it is that if you fall for seductions, then you deserve to die horribly from her point of view. And, strictly speaking, she's not wrong in that case. Hello, other peasants. I don't want to learn your name, so maybe I should try to come up with proper summaries for your characters. I had a tool to do that. How do these things work? Please note, if you want me to die, too bad. That is not an option, although the person who hasn't been enabling this apparently wants to perish their thought. Oh, hey, but if you really want to see someone die, please be sure to tune in to the next show, which does have that option. Ideally, you should kill everyone else and allow me more speaking time. As you can see, I am wasted entertainment value, enriching, enlightening, classy. Just being squandered, really. Have I considered bribing Poe to torment Magog? Well, yes. I have considered bribing Poe to torment Magog. It just doesn't seem necessary because I'm pretty sure Poe hates him as much as I do. Much in the way that he hates all of us, including you. Much, I suppose, in the way I do. Only, I'm far less likely to insert myself into any of your orifices. That's what swords and knives are for. Untutored ham! I'll have you know I had the finest tutors. The finest! They're all dead now, of course, but that's so they can never tutor a lesser pupil. Let's see. Yes, okay, I see that one of you is absolutely carried away with elaborate fantasies of me being put to some sexual use by Queen Di. You disgust me. My sexual escapades are not for discussion, and I have much better taste choosing partners that won't, you know, saw off my head in the morning. And I'm not being figurative there. She once sawed off a man's head the next morning. She took her time, too. It just went on, and she started from the back. No, wait a second, she started from the front. All I know is that he didn't die until it was at least halfway through. Poor bastard. But more importantly, not me. Why do you want to know how OP I am? Well, you see, I would think you would love it when peons end up on the pointy end dining room. Yeah, see, I'm already doing that, Walter a lot. To understand, I am the power behind the throne. I am not the king. I am not the queen. I am the humble court advisor. So I'm going to do all my bragging here, because you can't do anything about it. Not that many of them could either. It's a bit moot on that point. Lord Veterinary wants his chain and cloak. Who's Lord Veterinarian? Are there veterinarian lords? Must be some sort of peasant media. Yes, I imagine you haven't seen a court or royal advisor. After all, you're a peasant. How many royal courts have you ever been to? Really? Take a trip to the kingdom of to just kiss King Sausage Finger's ring? No, I think not. Not that I'd recommend it, really. You know they don't clean those rings. They never clean those rings, especially Queen Di's. Just... But sometimes sacrifices must be made. Excellent question from Nexus Hunter. Do I have a personal taster? You know, I used to. I used to be very concerned about poisoning. When I started out, before I signed certain now regrettable contracts, poisoning and death by poisoning was an incredibly risky, high risk, major threat to me. I had a Syllabask fang I drank out of, which nullified most liquid poisons and could be an antidote to most other poisons. But since in recent times, I don't really have a reason for it. You know, this is one of the perks of a regrettable Faustian bargain with a deranged sorcerer. I've been doing this for some time now. So long, in fact, that I've come to like poisons. Certain poisons. You know, the right amount of what you would call old ace can really set off the right dish. Just especially desserts. Arsenic. Also, slight almond flavor, but distinct. At this point, I'm pretty sure I'm immune to most of them, but I really couldn't be certain. I only really know if I wake up 2 minutes later. The Insidious Vizier is a better archetype anyway, except that one guy with the hair. Partot. I'm unfamiliar with that character, but I'm absolutely certain I'm vastly superior to them. Clearly. I'm still alone. I don't know who they are or where they're from, but I can rest assured I dress better. Does the personal tester help pay for food? No, because I don't have one anymore. There's really no need. My chief concern at this point is indignities in my food, so I do tend to observe the chefs when they're preparing, and I just pretend not to notice whenever they throw anything terribly poisonous, provided it's to my tastes. I still have to occasionally lynch one that gets uppity and spits in. We think with as much poison that's around you and in you, you would be immune to those toxins. A lot of them, yes. A lot of them you can't really get a meaningful immunity to. Milk leaf poison is particularly unpleasant. I haven't had to deal with too much of that. It's supposed to be able to kill immortals, but I'm pretty sure I've gotten through it at least once. Then again, I don't have classic immortality. Those guys never die. You don't see gods getting struck down for 2 minutes at a time, do you? Pompous bastards. And they are absolutely insufferable, a lot of them. But what can you do? They're the gods. Like the snake, something like that. Yes, I don't have personal tasers for my bath. Although, with the risk of acid baths, a bath tester does have some charm, especially if they're suitably attractive and female. Naturally, I would watch to ensure that they were able to get into the tub and out safely. Position 3. I think I'm being sabotaged. Right. Does it get complicated sending assassins, silent assassins into silent dissent or rivalry? Yes. Yes, that is a well-observed complication. Look, you can't really send just one assassin these days, especially if you're dealing with amateurs. The idea these days is that you really make sure there are no traces. You send an amateur to do the job. If they don't do the job, you have a second amateur take out the first amateur. If they do the job, have a second amateur take out the first amateur, then have a third take out the previous two if necessary, and then have one trusted assassin clear up that loose end. Usually Assassin the Grey, mostly because none of the assassins I've sent after him have been successful, which I suppose proves their value and continued employment. Being eaten by dragons. I'm pretty sure that never happened. Officially. And if it did happen, it wasn't a dragon. It would have been an ebony black drake that I had thought to cultivate as a pet, possibly a mount. But this didn't happen. I'm pretty sure it was just a nightmare I had once. I have some very vivid nightmares at times. It's just one of those things that comes with the job. You don't necessarily always sleep easy. What with so many threats around you? And I have to admit, I do suffer on occasion. I've had a lot of nightmares. The giant duck, no, I'm pretty sure I've never been eaten by a giant duck. Although, I have been part of a failed effort to stop a giant duck, to be fair. No such thievery has taken place. I would never wear second-hand, honestly. What sort of amateur do you take me for? Second-hand is it's beneath peasantry. And look, don't even bother tagging that jerk. He's not going to play a role in this. It's part of the deal. Now, if he gets his way about giving you the ability to kill me, that could be another matter. But for the time being, part of the deal is that he stays the hell out of this. When you were tricked into being teleported to far north, it was told us that it became dragon. Well, clearly, everyone who's not me is a filthy, filthy, lying scumbag, a tripe-visaged rascal, a wave-faced buffoon, simpleton, rat bastard, with apologies to rats. Scum sucker. You know, I've never heard of partial capes being involved in what you call BDSM, was it? Bad dong strap-on mounting. But I'll trust that you're the greater expert on that. Clearly you cannot even begin to fathom what my tastes are. The rats have all been disposed of course. It's not like I would keep pet rats. Although, they do occasionally come back, so if I should be seen with a rat, I'm clearly only holding it for a span of time until I, you know, dispose of it. Because keeping rats is for pathetic losers. Say, look, as you can see, I'm trying to spin off here. I'm sick of being weighed down by those other three simpering, deranged, lunatic bastards. Can you, perhaps tell me, what do you want to allow me to transcend and thoroughly crush those fools beneath me? I don't think it should be very hard. Perhaps we have a roulette wheel, and I say nice things about you if you should win the lottery or something. I don't really know precisely what entertains you silly people. I looked at some of your reality TV, and it has really lowered my respect for your collective intellects, but, you know, the bar was here, and now it's here, so it's no big, I suppose. Oh, and just to remind you all, I am going to be found later on here. You should probably watch there so I can demonstrate my continued superiority over the others. I suspect the answer to your question, what entertains you people, involves tassels. It might very well. But none of you can afford that. Wait a second. Did that actually happen? Or was that a bad dream too? It was a bad dream. No, never mind. That was entirely a bad dream. I must have mentioned it some earlier point on a side quest. It was a bad dream, and no such thing occurred. If you saw anything like that, that was a destable timeline that has ceased to exist, comprised of swamp gas glinting off of a meteor. You'll buy that. As I have never seen anyone spin tassels covering cheeks. I presume you have. I do not want to hear anything more about your gooning preferences. Flatulence has no place in my domain. So, how long have you allowed a prisoner to survive the binding pain of a chakra torture? I've never heard of chakra torture before, but as you surely know, I am. What's a weather balloon? Never mind. Can you tell me about this chakra torture? I have never heard of chakra torture before. Could you elaborate? As you all know, I am a bit of a dabbler in torture. I've done my share. Look, again, it's part of maintaining a firm grip on the reins of power, and it's just plain fun. Really, nothing reassures you that you're superior than taking your fellow and reducing them to their assorted parts. Although, I have to say, I'm starting to feel it's a waste of time. It doesn't often result in any quality intel, and it takes so long. I'm thinking I might try to diversify my hobbies. As you know, I am a true what you would call a Renaissance man. I dabble in a lot of things. I do my own alchemy. I make some of my own potions. That is typically the department of, that other guy. But that's because he's cheap. I'm very expensive. Happy all the time. Give me chakra treatment. Chakra treatment. It's inspiring. Please do continue to elaborate what chakra treatment is and how it is pursued. I'm always ready to learn something more on this topic. Right, please pardon. I have been walking through the city a bit earlier, and I'm terribly allergic to pour. So the smell isn't quite out of my nostrils yet, and it's prompting some coughs and sneezes. You'll just have to put up with it. Clearly, because no one appreciates my efforts to mute these things. Do you know how long it took me to figure out the rune board? Never mind. You always wanted to ask, on side order, everyone is obviously a job class. Magog is an necromancer, the nameless thief is thief, and Pentacast an alchemist. What is my job class? Well, that is a fantastic question. On side order of fries, my class would best be defined as boss. Actual boss, not labeled boss. Labeled boss would be, I believe, Pentagast, mostly because he can be goaded into taking point. No, middle fingers just come with the position in class. I suppose if boss is too complicated a concept for you, superior I identify as superior to everyone else. Vastly superior. Curiously, they also identify as superior, but as we all know, they're full of crap. Funny you should say that. Clearly you weren't paying attention to Side Order, the long-running show Side Order, where we all have to be there because we signed a pact with a mad wizard. But Side Order, or the Side Order Guild, as you call it, recently did come into possession of a dungeon that I am personally overseeing the refurbishing of. We've got a tavern built into it, lots of death traps. It really has a lot of potential. I wouldn't say I live there, but I will have personal quarters. I might show it to you all one day. Maybe. I don't know. If I do, it'll probably be here. Perhaps when I need a break from the rest of them. Pardon 1 second as I see if there are any summonings. If I'm lucky, there aren't. And there won't be. It's happened before. Yes, I'm not being summoned yet. And no, wouldn't be a dungeon boss, as in to say the end of Coventry Gather. Yes, none of you have properly explained chakra torture. Is it really just a matter of playing happy, happy, happy over and over again? Because if that is your idea of chakra torture, I've already beaten you like a red-headed stepchild. Namely, Baby shark, do 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 do. To your credit, that came from your world, not ours. We have some terrible music, granted, but nothing seems to whittle away sensually quite like that. I did try badger, 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 but that didn't seem to have a meaningful effect on it. Have you ever watched Epic NPC, man? Coming a new game. No, I haven't. I have heard of it there. Magic full of this large crystal with jagged edges. Okay. Large crystal with jagged edges has potential. I'm thinking I can make that work. Didn't get YouTube notification, just rumble. No one let me! No one, rather, was able to stop me. Probing critical organs while trying to keep the victim alive. Somehow I think that might have gotten filtered out. That's a pity. Probing critical organs while trying to keep the victim alive. Okay. Now we're talking. And it dovetails, I was talking about how I wanted to branch out, be a bit more refined yet. I am incredibly refined, but I believe it is possible for me to be even more perfect than I already am. Salt crystals. Ooh, I should be taking notes. I'm going to remember this. Bath salts. If those are what I think they are, that's more of a combat stimulant. I'll investigate that later. But large, sharp salt crystals, jammed in. Sorry. I'm going to... No, I'm not sorry. Screw you all. Moving forward, while I wait for the summons. I'm thinking I'm going to start studying medicine. It dawns on me that we don't have enough surgeons here. And I think I could be a fantastic surgeon. I just need an apron for when I'm in surgeon mode, to collect the proper stains on, to prove, of course, my surgical expertise. I've taken a lot of lives. Maybe it's time I tried my hand at saving a few. For later. The shocker torture kind of meshes with the idea. Let's see, Mingators. Isn't that the Emperor from StarCraft? The Gildan's healer. I'm going to be a surgeon, not necessarily a healer. I suppose the brewers of health potions and those magical healers are the healers. We don't have a healer, and once again, it's very clear you aren't paying much attention to the Wiki Guild as to how we survive without a healer. The answer to that question is we don't. We just don't stay dead. And if you don't stay dead, investing in a healer doesn't make a lot of sense. That's why we threw away the health potions. You see, I seem to recall, and I might have been having a dream, that it used to be that as we got injured, and we get injured regularly. See, Arcturus Minx from StarCraft. I am aptly compared to an emperor. I'm not an emperor yet. But I wouldn't rule it out. I stole your friend's bicycle? Huh. I don't remember that. We don't have bicycles. But we could. We could! Look, the gods have only prohibited guns. I know, because I've tried to have several brought in. I've tried to reverse engineer them, and it hasn't worked yet. But bicycles. I could probably recreate bicycles. I'm not so sure about the military applications. They don't seem likely to carry the necessary weight. That could be fun. One Gamma God could revive you, what happens when he gets killed? Have you paid any attention? The argument, the pact we made with that particular dribbling madman applies to him as well. He enjoys the same benefit. I know this is disappointing. I'm with you. It hurts. It would be so wonderful to imagine that he might die and stay dead. But even if he did, presumably, we would still be set? I don't know. I just know that it's happened that we've come back even when he's been toast. So I'm pretty sure it's passive. As you put it. Parents. Poor stench. Get out of my lungs. This is why I try to stay as close to Cloud Love as possible whenever I'm in a major billing. Or at least stay away from the pores. I can refine this. So, I'm running out of ideas, which is why I should keep these things shorter than this, typically. But there have been no summons, so I'm going to keep on going. However, I am going to find some other way to handle you as I wait. As I must. Ah, here we go. Vile slime research. I think you've confused me for someone else who does vile slime research. I'm thinking, you know, the Brobdingnagian one. You should probably ask them about vile slime research. Thou spongy elf-skinned no-bowels. Someone would like me to say some things that would absolutely get me killed in certain other contexts, but I have absolutely no obligation whatsoever to say these things. So I'm not going to. Thou dankish, wrath-hewn turd. Yep, I don't do research with Pentagast. I really do my utmost to never be in the presence of them. I have to be, because if I defy, then I die horribly and then I'm dragged along anyway. I don't like to dwell on it. So I'm not going to. Yes, that's one good name for them. You be slubbering, puke-stalking measle. Well, I'm wondering if I will be summoned away, and if I'm not being summoned away, I suppose I can just stay here for the duration. We didn't get back to important questions. What do you want to see from me, Arcturus of Sarthos, the very light of civilization? So Pentagast isn't the healer, then does that mean he mostly makes poisons? Well. You warps tardigated barnacle? No. Although he does make poisons as well, he primarily makes all sorts of potions, usually they're mushroom related. Entirely mushroom related. Mushroom slurries in many cases. This is probably a sign of crippling addiction. It would be very sad if I cared at all, even the slightest. Oh, so I was reading about where 2 Chinese nationals were caught smuggling Arketer fungus. That's fascinating, you gleeking polyfoul and purified cure. I think we should probably find out if samples can be gotten. Arketer fungus. I do understand that your bracing for war over there. Such a pity that I'm not there to, win it for you. But plans to conquer your world have been scrapped. At least through the established route. It's depressing, really. All that ambition just gone. I would tell you if I was planning something to compensate. Surely. We can probably bite one now. Very dangerous. Oh no! Very awful. You might have to get sober and stop drinking beer. Medical types are always happy to give up the plans. Yes, but only at the cusp of victory, when it's assured. Look, I don't think you understand the necessity of the villainous monologue. It is done when you're sure your nemesis is about to die, and you explain it so they know how badly they failed. Then you kill them. Like in Red 2. That was perfectly done, when he killed the heroic American agent guy who killed those people but not the right people, and he was dragged along just so Anthony Hopkins, Mad Professor, could explain what he was going to do before killing him. That's how it's done, really. Pity about that horrible death at the end. Look, it's perfectly justified. They killed his family. He kills the UK. Perfectly reasonable. It'd only be unacceptable if I lived there. Which I don't. Secret Asian man? You overweening idle-headed turd? Really? Look, as a proper villain who dreams of world conquering, what is your newest plan? Excellent question. I have several plans. They're not on the cusp of completion yet, and I can't kill you after I've told you, so I might just hold off on that for now. I do have some hopes of this upcoming situation wherein I can arrange the downfall of a kingdom and then arrange an invasion of that kingdom to completely usurp it, absorb it into a superior kingdom, the one I control, of course. But if you want to hear more about that, I suppose you'll just have to pay attention to the next side order. Yes, side order. That long-running series of mirth and villainy. Side order. A good idea is to write a monologue down and then hand it to him while he's doing the giant pillow, so he's too distracted reading it to escape following to his doing. That's a good idea. My problem here is that most of my nemesis don't know how to read. As you've seen, many of the people I work with don't know how to read either. You tongueless, poisony-tilted dewberry. Oh, you only think you control it? Let's see, hold on. Why can't I see the rest of this? This magic makes no sense whatsoever. Oh well, it's missed. Could always instigate prisoners to attack each other on the false premise. Yeah, that's just standard practice, Nexus Hunter. How do you imagine we get people to fight in most gladiator pits where the gladiators didn't actually sign up with gold? You just tell them the survivor wins and gets to live, which, of course, is always a lie. You just move on to the next match or discreetly take care of them in the back if they're too popular with the crowd. I'm being summoned elsewhere, but I'm not going. Clearly this is taking off. I understand I've already achieved more likes than, that lab-coated jackass. I think I'm going to overtake his shows as well. Yes, it's... No, I don't know!